What if your wife suddenly got rich? Divorce her immediately. Hesitate for even a second, and you've already lost. The day Clara became the richest woman in Jiang City, I walked away with half her fortune, cool and carefree. Her eyes turned blood red as she grabbed me by the throat. Ethan, you're heartless. 10 years. I fattened the pig. Now it's finally time for the slaughter. Ha 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 ha. I think I am the first man who wants to divorce his wife because she is rich. There is no other reason. I discovered that Clara was trying to cheat on her and was just one step away from actually making a mistake. After a brief moment of shock and sadness, I felt relieved. In fact, her company has been growing bigger and bigger since it received its first venture capital 5 years ago. I had a feeling that this day would come. It is said that men become bad when they have money, and the same is true for women. Clara didn't know that when she talked to Tina about her cheating that day. I was standing outside the study with my coffee in hand. Clara, Ryan from the TV station is pretty good. What do you think? Clara replied nonchalantly. It's a bit clingy. Then why did you give him a Maserati? That's not how you spend your money. My fingers stiffened and my heart felt like a bell hanging in the air. Maserati? It is indeed a grand undertaking. Then I heard Clara's slightly tired voice. It's just a car. Hey, then I'll keep him steady for you. You might change your mind someday. Whatever. The topic about Ryan ended here, and the two continued to talk about their collaborative projects. It seemed like the two women were just having afternoon tea and chatting about some romantic things in their spare time. Not very important. That cup of coffee finally went into my stomach and kept me awake all night. And the funny thing is, when we got married, we were so poor that we didn't have money to hold a wedding banquet. Clara is planning a grand wedding for me. She felt guilty towards me, but that didn't stop her from trying to please other men. Oh, human hearts are hard to predict, and the sea of money is hard to fathom. Divorce, must divorce. We have to hurry. Delay will lead to changes. The meeting with lawyer Leo was in a cafe. Coincidentally, the TV hanging in the hall was playing a financial talk show hosted by Ryan. I guess Clara met him through this show. The young and sunny male host spoke elegantly, with wise words, and told the story in a fluent manner. He never shows any fear in front of rich people who are beyond the reach of ordinary people. Leo is an old classmate of mine, and he has long become a well-known divorce lawyer. Seeing that I was staring at the screen, he smiled and asked, Ethan, this Ryan looks a bit like you. I immediately got angry and said angrily, how can it be like that? Ryan is the sissy type, and I am a real man. Leo blinked in confusion. Everyone who knows you says so. We even talked about it at class reunions. My eyebrows tightened and I sneered. That's really unfortunate. I wasn't in the mood to talk about Ryan, so I told him straight away that I wanted a divorce from Clara. Ethan, you have to be kidding. You want a divorce after finally getting through this? Am I someone who jokes about marriage? I rolled my eyes. My group of classmates and I witnessed how I resolutely married Clara when her company was on the verge of bankruptcy. No wonder Leo made a fuss. You married her when she was at her poorest, and you left her when she was at her richest, Ethan. You have character. I replied slowly. Leo, I could control that poor woman back then, but now she is the richest woman in Jiangcheng. Do you think I can control her? You've been through so many divorce cases, I thought you knew best. Aren't it lawyers like these who understand the darkness and ugliness of human nature best? Especially a divorce lawyer? Leo was speechless for a long time before he smacked his lips and asked tentatively, Clara, is she cheating on me? It's just one step away. Then you take care of it? It would be too cruel to sentence her to death now. I snorted and laughed. Now I am not cruel. Soon, she will be cruel. Leo, tell me about the cases you have handled. Is it more based on love or guilt? When the new love really comes to power, how much he or she can get depends on his or her attitude. There's no way I can be that passive person. Leo was choked by me. Ethan, you are so calm that it scares me. Calm. My calmness is the result of 5 years of accumulation. Except Ryan. Eric, the male secretary beside Clara, is also eyeing her. I can't remember which day it was. I went to see Clara for lunch through the crack in the door that was not closed tightly. See Eric zipping up Clara's skirt. Then he carefully took out a bowl of warm hangover soup from his lunchbox. Eric always tried to show his affection to her, but she always refused. But it was in the lunchbox that the driver took home that day. The hangover soup I made was still intact, and even the knot I tied with my own hands was still intact. Long ash fell on my fingertips. Leo also looked at me with deep emotion. Ethan, I really should let my clients learn from you. I leaned over and put out my cigarette, smiled and said, it's useless. They are unwilling and cannot bear to do it. What I am unwilling to do is to give up such an excellent wife to someone else. I feel that I can handle her and am an exception. They can't bear to be cruel until the end when their relationships are torn apart and all love is gone. So, people should not be too greedy and want both money and people. That would mean losing all your money. I'm different. Because no one can do what I do and always have a way out for myself in marriage. Certainly, the marriage is about to end, but before the divorce, I must have a good meeting with Ryan as Clara's husband. In the evening, at the dining table, I deliberately played Ryan's show as the background, the one with Clara. She touched her face. Why? You also thought I was beautiful that day. She acted flawlessly and showed no guilt. I almost thought the Maserati was really a toy car. Clara, I've got a car that I like. She didn't take it seriously. Oh, it's rare that you like cars too. Which model do you want? I'll go with you to pick one up someday. I looked at her calmly. Maserati Levant. Her smile faded slowly, and then she looked at me with a slightly judging look. Don't you like Land Rover? I knocked on the table. Okay, then let's go with the Land Rover. Anyway, it's more expensive than a Maserati. It wasn't long before I ran into Ryan. His Maserati hit my Range Rover. I designed it. It's a pity that his car was not able to withstand the collision. Ryan stood helplessly by the car and stared at the front of my car with resentment. The collision of two luxury cars caused a traffic jam around, and the traffic police arrived at the first opportunity. Mr. Shun, the video shows that you made an illegal U-turn. You are fully responsible. Ryan looked at the dented front door with a pained look on his face. Two headlights were shattered, and the bumper was bent. Can't you just give way? I've already planned to lose points. Now both cars need to be repaired. His eyes were red, and he looked pitiful, and he started to feel wronged. That matter-of-fact look stunned the traffic police. A irritable male car owner nearby couldn't help but yelled, "You've been given way too often. But this is a Range Rover. Why should I be afraid of you?" It's so satisfying. As expected, magic is the only thing that can defeat magic. I had seen enough of the excitement, so I slowly opened the car door and got out. Ryan's accusation came at him. Why are you driving so slowly in front? Is the road a shopping mall? I want to overtake, but you won't let me. Are you trying to stop me? I was in a hurry and had no choice but to step on the accelerator. You. His words stopped abruptly when he saw me, and his face turned pale instantly. I smiled and said, with such a nice car, I still have to work hard to make money. It seems that Maserati can't change my fate. Ryan gritted his teeth, his face turned pale, and he got back into the car without saying a word. Said to the traffic police, "Have you taken care of it? I'll pay for it." The traffic police nodded and quickly directed traffic to be restored. I looked at his receding back thoughtfully and sneered. I'm in a hurry to get a divorce. But unexpectedly, Ryan was more anxious than me. It is also possible that he was not satisfied with me hitting his car. A few days later, I received a video file from Tina's mobile phone. At the square mahjong table, Clara sat next to Ryan and pointed at the situation. Ryan glanced at him and said coquettishly, "Sister, which one do you want to play? My palms are sweating." Clara gave him a doting look. "Whatever you want. If you lose, it's mine." The people at the table burst into laughter. When Ryan lowered his head to touch the cards, his bangs occasionally blocked his eyes. Clara considerately and naturally smoothed away the bangs that blocked his view. "Do your best, huh?" With trembling fingers, I turned off the phone and threw it on the bed. A feeling of soreness and pain came over me. I couldn't stand steadily, and the blood rushed up. He pressed his hands tightly against the table to calm himself down. If the person she cheated with wasn't Ryan, I might have supported her. Not long after I received the video, Tina called me. She anxiously defended herself. "Brother, I'm sorry. The video can't be taken back. I really didn't mean to post it. It wasn't me who posted it. Please, don't tell Clara." I replied calmly. "I know it's not you." She breathed a sigh of relief. "Don't think too much about it. Don't you know how Clara feels about you? It's just a social situation. I guarantee that she won't cheat on me even if I do it 100 times. So you want to drag her down with you?" She couldn't help but blush. Yes, you hit the nail on the head. I was wrong." I hung up the phone in boredom. I don't believe a word this love queen says. But there was one thing she didn't lie. No matter how bad she is, she certainly wouldn't dare to send that kind of video to my phone. Only someone like Ryan, who has good family education and follows the example of his superiors, can do such a thing. Tina said at the beginning, "I will keep him safe for you." Doesn't this prove that she has feelings for Ryan as well? But out of consideration for Clara, he didn't dare to snatch the food from her mouth. It must not be difficult for Ryan to get her phone. I called Leo. "How about a divorce agreement in a week?" "No, we are old classmates. Isn't this for you to calm down? If you don't give it to me tomorrow, I'll find someone else." "Oh, okay. It's time to confront Clara." After entering the president's office, I made a direct request. "Miss Clara, I want to ask you to do something." Clara rested her elbows on the desk, crossed her fingers, and looked at me with a little scrutiny. "You are my husband. If you have anything to say, just ask." I leaned over and forced a cold smile. "Well, I want something." "What?" I said word by word. "The key to the Maserati Levant." She was stunned, and her expression changed several times in an instant. We stared at each other for a few seconds, neither of us giving in. Finally, she coaxed me helplessly and said, "Oh Yang, it's not important. It's not much money." She looked like I was being unreasonable. "You've never been such a mean person." I was too lazy to argue with her. "Miss Clara, can I have it back?" Clara stared at me intently, as if trying to guess how much truth there was in my words. I stared at her without showing any weakness. She gritted her teeth, rubbed her brows with her hands, and finally replied, "Okay, I'll give it to you tomorrow." This is the first time I have been so disrespectful to Clara. But it doesn't matter, as long as the goal is achieved. Thank you. I smiled faintly and turned away. The moment I grasped the door handle, I heard Clara's voice from behind me. "Ouyang, are you jealous?" I replied non-committally. "You can think of it that way." As I closed the door, I heard the sound of something being swept to the floor from inside the house. Then there was a loud bang as a heavy fist hit the office. Secretary Eric outside the door looked at me in horror. I smiled slightly and got into the elevator. That's good. Once you have made a decision, why bother to put it in vain? After getting the key to the Maserati Levant, I went straight to the TV station and made an appointment with Ryan. In the cafe downstairs, Ryan came late, looking haggard. "It must be a bad feeling to have your gift taken away. Mr. Shun, please take a seat." I raised my hand. When his eyes met the car keys next to my coffee cup, his pupils shrank. Then he sat down rudely and sneered at me. "Mr. Ouyang, are you here to show off to me?" He fiddled with his bangs and looked at me defiantly. It was indeed Ms. Clara who asked me to return the key, but a woman of her status would certainly receive more valuable compensation if she wanted to return a gift. I looked at him indifferently. Of course I know this simple truth, but it doesn't matter. Besides, Mr. Ouyang's behavior made my sister lose face. I waited quietly for him to finish, then slowly pushed the car keys in front of him. "Her face is not important to me. Mr. Shun, a Maserati is not worth showing off. I took it back just to." I paused and he looked at me warily. I chuckled. "I just wanted to give it to you personally." His eyes suddenly turned directly to me. "What do you mean?" I said slowly. "If you want it, I can give it to you, but you can't take it away from me. Do you understand, my good brother?" His face turned pale instantly, and the coffee in his hand spilled out, and he quickly put it down. I crossed my arms and sneered at him. At this moment, I am like a hedgehog with its fur standing on end. Yes, Ryan is my half-brother. As of today, we haven't seen each other for 20 years. So we pretended not to know each other. In fact, the first time I heard the name Ryan, I knew it was him. At the scene of the car accident, Ryan of course recognized me the first time. His target is Clara, so why wouldn't he ask about my identity? It's just that he hasn't officially taken office yet, so he's just keeping a low profile and choosing not to recognize himself. Based on my understanding of my stepmother and her education, my goal was achieved by then. Ryan said again aggrievedly, "Brother, I'm sorry I didn't know Clara was my sister-in-law. How could I fulfill his wish? Divorce is fine, but it's Ethan's fault that he let Ryan smell Clara's scent. Does he want to do to me what Gloria did to my mom? How is that possible? Thanks to them, mother and son, I have understood a truth since I was a child. Never give anyone the chance to catch you off guard. I will divorce you, but you can never be Clara's husband, because this is one of the conditions for my divorce." I sneered as I watched Ryan's face turn paler and paler. He continued to mock her. "Of course, you can choose to be an underground lover and ask Clara for some pocket money, but Gloria will be disappointed. Gloria has always had high hopes for you, and must have hoped that you would be better than me. How can you see me as just a lover?" Before Ryan's surprise could come out, I pushed him into the abyss again. He bit his lip and asked tremblingly, "Brother, do you hate me so much?" I was innocent back then. I watched him act coldly. Then he tried to play the emotional card. "Dad feels guilty about what he has done to you over the years, but I just couldn't get in touch with you. I don't know what to say about my mother and mom, but we are different. We are brothers with blood relationship." I was indifferent and sneered. "Ryan, don't try that on me. Losing once in my life is enough." Ryan's face changed. He probably didn't expect me to be so stubborn, so he stopped acting. "I heard from Clara that your marriage has not been happy in the past few years. It's mainly because you are not satisfied. She is actually very tired of being with you." "Yes, but you don't stand a chance." I ended the interview with my head held high, picked up my bag and left. Ryan yelled behind me, "Brother, I won't lose anything if I can make you divorce. Don't give yourself too much face. You are at most the trigger for my divorce." I said this calmly, without any desire to fight. After I got home, I started a cold war with Clara. First, of course it was because she was angry. Why did she pick my stepmother's son? Second, we are getting divorced, and we can't keep pretending to be in love. I have to give some signs. The etiquette company approached me to discuss wedding arrangements. I simply put the project on hold and said I would contact them again when I had a new idea. An out-of-season wedding is open to anyone who wants one. I had a nightmare that night. At that time, my name was Ethan Shun and I was 3 years old. Ryan's mother, Gloria, was my dad's secretary and she was obsessed with leaping off the tree. That day, she rushed into my house with an ultrasound report and her big belly. She said she was pregnant with a boy and the young master of the Shun family couldn't be left alone outside. She relies on her son's status and has an arrogant attitude. Although my mother has me as her son, a yellow-faced woman who stays at home to take care of her husband and children all year round is no match for a green tea girl in the workplace. My father held the ultrasound report as if it were a treasure. Instead of feeling ashamed, she told Gloria to stop having a miscarriage and told my mom to get out. My mother fainted from anger. In the end, it was my grandmother who came forward to seek justice. She is not like my dad, who can be easily fooled. While comforting Gloria, I calmed my mother down. "Warner, When a man has money, which one doesn't play around outside? They are all shameless bitches. No one can shake you if you give birth to Ethan Shun. To be honest, my grandmother was pretty nice to me, her eldest grandson. My mother was a little moved by what she said. The main reason is that I have not worked in these years and have devoted everything to my father and this family. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to get custody of me if they divorced. But Gloria was only quiet for a while before she started making trouble again. Later, my grandmother died of illness, and she became even more unscrupulous. She spread the word everywhere that she was pregnant with my father's child, strangling my father's weak spot. As she got more and more involved, he increasingly treated the company as his own and began to encourage my father to transfer his property. They said it was for the sake of their son. If I give it to my mother, she will get married and all the money will become someone else's. My father was brainwashed by Gloria and finally divorced forcefully. As a result, my mother was kicked out of the house and couldn't take me with her because she had no source of income. I was naturally awarded to the Shin family. From 3 to 8 years old, a full 5 years. Gloria has become my lifelong nightmare. I lived worse than a servant in that house. Later, Gloria gave birth to Ryan, and her figure became out of shape. My dad started hanging out with other women all day again. This made my life even more difficult, as Gloria took out her dissatisfaction with my dad on me. He would beat and scold me for no reason, and at the very least, he would put me in solitary confinement as punishment. Because of this childhood family accident, I thought I would never get married until I met Clara. Now, Ryan wants to repeat the story of the previous generation and asked me if I agree. I won't be like my mother and end up with nothing. Clara heard that the wedding was canceled and came to me to find out what happened. I took out the divorce agreement and said, "Let's get a divorce." Clara stood up. "Ethan, you are crazy." I looked at her calmly. "You know I'm not crazy. Haven't you known that I have this idea all these years?" Her chest heaved violently, and she walked back and forth in the room with her hands on her hips. "Why? Because of Ryan? Don't be unreasonable. I know she is my brother-in-law." I threw the divorce agreement in her face. "You know nothing. If you knew, you shouldn't have done this." I yelled, my voice twisted and trembling. "Clara, how could I not know that you are so self-righteous now that you have money? What on earth do you want to do?" There were bloody scratches on Clara's face from the edge of the paper, and she looked at me in shock for a long while. It seemed like he didn't expect me to have such a big reaction. After a long while, she came over and hugged me tightly. "Ouyang, I just want you to reconcile with your original family." I was still hesitating whether I should do this, and now you know it. My tough armor collapsed at this moment, and the intense grief and anger made me cry. It fell silently on the shoulder pillow of her suit. "Clara, you know nothing," I said. "I know. You saw a psychiatrist 5 years ago. I know everything about Ouyang." Clara held my shoulders tightly, her voice restrained and painful. I murmured, "Clara, what right do you have to? Have you ever experienced my pain? Why do you think you can be my savior? I wish that family would die. Not only am I a victim of that family, you are too. Why should you ask me to reconcile with them? Do they deserve it?" Clara wiped my tears away. "Ouyang, believe me, I have never betrayed you. I gave Ryan the car because Tina wanted to pursue him. You know how unfaithful she is. He is your brother after all." I pushed her away harshly. I don't want to delve into whether she only considers Ryan as her brother-in-law. But Ryan's desire to move up is obvious. It doesn't matter, Clara, just sign it. When we got married, we agreed that if one day in the future our relationship makes either of us feel uncomfortable, we will let the other go. "Ouyang," she shouted helplessly. I said wearily, "I know the company is at a critical stage now. We won't split up. I just want shares. Also, Miss Clara's husband cannot be Ryan. That's all I have. Ethan, do you think this is fair?" Clara threw the divorce agreement away and approached me. With bloodshot eyes, he grabbed my neck and pushed me against the wall. "What did I do wrong that you have to be so cruel to me?" "Clara, I don't want to test human nature. You'll thank me later." She looked at me for a long while, buried her head deep in my chest, and asked in a low voice like a little animal, "Ouyang, is it really necessary to do this?" "Please, Miss Clara," I said. She glared at me fiercely. I confronted her calmly. Then Clara pushed me away, turned around, signed her name quickly, and stopped looking at me. "You're awesome, Ethan." On the day I completed the formalities, I went to my mother's house for dinner. Since she was 8 years old, she had a way to make a living and brought me to her side. We have always depended on each other. For my sake, she did not remarry. When she saw me coming alone, she complained that I didn't bring Clara with me. I had a feeling that if I just mentioned divorce, we wouldn't be able to enjoy the meal properly. He just said that Clara had an engagement. My mother nodded and told us to have a child as soon as possible. She held my hand tightly and said earnestly, "Ouyang, does Clara want to use contraception?" She said before that it was not the right time to have a child, but now she can't make excuses. Looking at my mother's anxious and fearful look, I felt in a trance. If I had continued my marriage to Clara, I would probably have become like my mother. No sense of security. I was in a panic and just wanted to find a child to use as a floating piece of wood. I replied calmly. No one said no, and no one said yes. Just let it be. Think about it seriously. In all these years of marriage, Clara and I have only discussed the issue of children once. Only once. In the simple rental house, she hugged me with forbearance. Ouyang, I promise to be your perfect wife. I don't have time to have a baby right now. Even if I did, I wouldn't have time to take care of it, so I'd have to leave it to you to take care of. I don't have the heart to add to your burden. I thought about it and nodded in understanding. She was still young at that time, and she touched her nose embarrassedly when she looked at me. If I fail in my business, at least you still have options. I was so angry that I grabbed her ears and yelled. Okay, Clara, who said we'll be together forever? Failure? Aren't you at the bottom right now? How about I choose again? She immediately raised her hands to beg for mercy. No, no, no. Ouyang, I was wrong. Then he kissed me affectionately again. Anyway, you know what I mean. Anything is fine, but you can't be wronged. I hugged her with tears and laughter. No, I won't be a poor husband. I won't be wronged even if you become successful in the future. She nodded seriously, yes. He is worthy of being the man I chose. But in the end, she still made me suffer. 5 years ago, the person who made me think about divorce for the first time was Clara's partner, Ms. Allen. At that time, their company was just starting to take off and received a large amount of venture capital. It is no less than being poor for a long time and then suddenly becoming rich. Ms. Allen was the first to make a move and started a lover outside. Can't wait to sell off the shares and cash them in to live a carefree life. Because of our partnership, I have a very harmonious relationship with Ms. Allen's husband, Mr. Allen. During the first few years of my entrepreneurial career, Mr. Allen saw that I was not working in a company, but instead hosting some entertainment and leisure programs on the radio. He even laughed and teased me. Brother Ouyang, I've never seen you so careless. Your company is in need of manpower. I refused. My wife is decisive and I just want to avoid causing trouble for her. Aren't you afraid that when the company becomes successful, Clara will not appreciate your kindness? He advised me to make my presence felt more before the company became bigger. I will also be able to secure the position of male host in the future. I said nonchalantly. I don't mind her being poor, and I won't be humble even if she becomes rich in the future. I am indeed at peace with it. My childhood experiences have made me very disgusted with the character of dedication and sacrifice. Working hard without complaint will result in nothing in the end. I lost trust in marriage very early on. If it weren't for Clara, I don't think I would have ever gotten married. Besides, I added, I don't put pressure on her, I don't nag her, I don't need her to have children, and I let her fly. Isn't that the greatest support for her? A loud drum needs no hammer, and Clara has never been a woman who needs a man's help to succeed. Mr. Allen shook his head helplessly at me and said in the tone of an experienced person, Brother Ouyang, you are too young and don't understand much. You will understand it in the future. I just smiled and said nothing. I only know that in marriage, no one can give you a sense of security except yourself. I just want to feel less aggrieved and unfair when I get divorced in the future. These are the bloody lessons that Gloria and my mother's stories taught me. Actually, at that time, I hadn't thought about divorce yet, until the news that Ms. Allen had a mistress became known to everyone. Ms. Allen and Mr. Allen, a couple who once shared joys and sorrows together, are now in court. Ms. Allen's lover, like Gloria, was reluctant to share the property with Ms. Allen. The two of them had been secretly on guard against Mr. Allen. First, Ms. Allen withdrew her shares to cash out, and then her business venture failed. Clara was asked by Ms. Allen to be a lobbyist. She was also helpless and told me that Ms. Allen was transferring the marital property. Mr. Allen was too slow to react. In fact, there were signs that Ms. Allen was going to cheat. It's just that Mr. Allen was so busy with company affairs that he forgot that a woman is as strong as a tiger at 40. Clara and I also went there on the day of the sentencing. Mr. Allen made a heart-wrenching accusation in court about how much he had sacrificed for his wife. Call her an ungrateful and cruel person. Unfortunately, it was of no use as these words could not be presented as evidence in court. It didn't give him any advantage. No matter how hard he tried, a woman who didn't love her would only let a tiny bit of love slip through his fingers. After the trial, he came to say goodbye to me, looking extremely haggard, and he was speechless when facing me. Thank you, brother. Don't be like me. Get out of here as soon as possible while she still loves you. Don't wait until all the guilt is gone and only calculations are left. He took that little fortune and never appeared in Jiangxing again. And the partner and the handsome little puppy form a beautiful and leisurely family. During that time, I was depressed and fell into depression. Clara took time out to take me on a trip abroad. We had a long talk on the plane. Ouyang, we already knew that Ms. Allen's heart was not with Mr. Allen, didn't we? So you think Ms. Allen was right to do this? I asked. Clara pressed her brows tiredly. Ouyang, that's not what I meant. It's just that we can't judge emotional matters. Ms. Allen's property transfer is legal. I knew then that Clara had completely transformed into a shrewd and pure businessman. Ouyang, what are you worried about? Are you afraid that I will end up like Ms. Allen? She pinched my cheek jokingly before we got off the plane. I asked. Yes, I was afraid that you didn't love me anymore. So you didn't give me a penny. She snuggled in my arms and said with a hoarse laugh, "No, husband. Will you not love me? Or will you not give me a penny?" I didn't ask, I just said angrily, "Well, I will leave you when you love me the most, and I will take both your love and money with me." Clara looked at me lovingly. "Okay, all is yours. So don't be unhappy anymore, okay? Okay." I laughed out loud. At that moment, I made up my mind that if such a day really came in the future, I would be the one who turned around first. I finally did it. By the time I finished recalling this part, I had finished my meal. I was about to tell my mom that I was divorced. My mother stood up to clean up the dishes while she was annoyed with me. "You didn't listen to the old people and suffered the consequences. It's more important to have a baby as soon as possible. Mom, that man became very successful back then, and you didn't get any benefit from giving birth to me." My mother's face turned pale instantly, and her lips trembled. "You." My fingers trembled slightly, and I whispered, "Mom, I'm sorry." She stared at me for a long while, wiped her tears and said, "I am sorry for you. Anyway, it's good that you know it." I know. I know more than anyone else. "Mom, I'm divorced. Don't worry about this anymore." I took out the divorce certificate. My mother looked at me in shock, snatched it away and opened it, shaking her body, pointing at me and saying, "Ethan, do you want to drive me to death? Divorce, you are really amazing. Clara loves you, and you are lawless." I smiled foolishly. "Mom, when she stops pampering me, it will be too late for me." My mother beat her chest and wailed. I opened a bottle of wine and said, "Why are you crying? I'm luckier than you. She gave me most of the family property. So you are satisfied?" I nodded. "Well, I am satisfied." Leo was also very satisfied. My divorce case had become his classic case. I believe that once the report comes out tomorrow, his value will skyrocket. My mother looked at me with regret. "You really can't start over?" I know she has always liked Clara as her daughter-in-law, but she simply couldn't understand that a woman standing at the top couldn't see the people around her. "Mom, you know, after the divorce, I slept better." My mother seemed to suddenly think of something, tears streaming down her face, and hugged me tightly. "Oh Yang, it was because of my failure back then that you no longer believe in marriage." I laughed and joked, "Mom, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that I've seen too much of the prosperous days in the past few years." Or a rich lady would find a mistress, like Mr. Allen, and end up with a miserable fate. Or maybe the two of them are tacitly doing their own things, disliking each other, and sleeping in the same bed, but dreaming different dreams. There is no other outcome. My mother cried and hugged me. "Oh Yang, Clara is not that kind of person. Can't you just trust her?" I shook my head. "Mom, do you think that becoming the richest person in Jiangxing is the end for Clara?" "No. I am more optimistic about Clara's talent, ability, and courage than anyone else. Her future is so bright that I dare not open my eyes. Things that happened in my childhood did have an impact on me, but I am grateful to my mother. Because of her tragedy, I have always protected myself in relationships and never given my all. I won't give myself the chance to become a widow. I have been married for 10 years and have never suffered any injustice or hardship with Clara. Now, this huge amount of shares alone is enough for me to live a carefree life. There is nothing more secure than money. From now on, he no longer has to pretend to be Miss Clara's husband." I packed my bags and went traveling abroad, sunbathing on the blue seashore. Unfortunately, that scumbag dad actually called me. "Ethan, are you divorced? Do you want to come to Dad's company? Dad is old, and the company still belongs to you brothers after all." I laughed sarcastically. "Mr. Harris, are you too confused? Hasn't the Shin family been in decline for a long time? Otherwise, someone wouldn't be so excited just because he begged for a Maserati." During the phone conversation, there was a violent cough, and then Gloria answered the phone. "Ethan, don't be so proud. Sooner or later my son will take Clara down, and she will marry Ryan." "Gloria, you are still as shameless as ever." Mr. Harris's voice was heard. "Get out, you shameless woman. Two brothers fighting for a woman. How shameless. Ryan would never marry Clara no matter who he married." "Old man, are you crazy? Do you know who Clara is? If it weren't for her help, your company would have gone bankrupt long ago. I don't care who she is. A woman like this who is easily attracted to other people is not worthy of my son." "Oh, you are so noble now, but back then." I sneered and hung up the phone. What a dog-eat-dog situation. Mr. Harris had been longing for a son with a mistress for so long, but in the end, he also became a mistress. Now I think of my son instead. I immediately forgot about this family of excellent people. When I was having so much fun, my mother called me. "Son, Mr. Shin sent some documents over. They seem to be some property transfer information." "Oh, is he going to die?" My mother sighed. "Maybe I'm old and feel guilty." I sneered. "Tell him that he will never be able to earn enough from my divorce compensation in his entire lifetime. Not everyone is as stingy to their original spouse as he is." "Superior." My mother stammered. Indeed, he was judging Clara by his own standards. I was about to hang up when my mom said, "By the way, Clara comes to our house for dinner every day. If she doesn't come for a social event, she'll let me know." I said, "Oh," lightly. I come here more often than when you were married, and there aren't any scandals outside. I said irritably. Mom, you don't have to tell me these things. You don't have to receive her anymore in the future. Later, I was afraid of receiving these calls again, so I simply turned off my phone. After returning to China, my good brother Mark organized a class reunion and asked me to give him face. There was no choice but to go there. There is always a lot of gossip at class reunions. When Leo and I arrived, we heard Mandy's loud voice outside the door. I knew Clara and Ethan would get divorced. Who wouldn't be a bad person when they have money? Ethan must be regretting it now. He has been poor for several years, but has not ended up well. It would have been great if he had chosen Lena back then. Some classmates made fun of her. Mandy, you were just saying the grapes are sour because you can't eat them. Didn't you see the recent report? Clara's divorce case ranked first in the list of breakup settlements of the richest people in the country. That's right. He is the richest among all of us now. And don't forget, Lena is not married yet. Mandy was not convinced. Clara must have done something wrong to him, and Ethan caught her. She looked like she was getting a large sum of breakup money, but I don't know how she was crying in secret. That person is also crying in a BMW, protected from the wind and rain. Mandy, don't worry about it. I listened outside the door for a while and gave Leo a half smile. Class reunions are really fun. Leo smiled awkwardly. Come in. It's just Mandy who's making so much noise. It's not easy to get everyone together for the 10th anniversary reunion, so you can just be a glue. It's true that being a lawyer means you can speak. Without my influence and fame, I'm afraid there wouldn't be so many people coming. I really had no idea that my divorce was even reported in the news. Mark came over in a hurry and slapped me from behind. Why don't you go in? The room suddenly fell silent. Then people stood up one after another to greet us, and Mandy stood at the back, biting her lip. Mark is the class monitor and also the organizer of this event. He clapped his hands. Old classmates, let's spend tonight at the highest standard. Whoever has the most money will pay. After saying that, he put his arm around my shoulder and looked at me meaningfully. The scene instantly became lively with thunderous applause and cheers. I smiled helplessly. It's my pleasure. Everyone can do as they please. Leo and I clapped our hands. Well done, Ethan. Let's not let him down. Halfway through the banquet, Mark said, a little tipsy. I originally wanted to organize an alumni gathering, and as many people as possible would come, but then I thought better of it. I lowered my brows and smiled faintly. If Clara and I hadn't divorced, we could have held an alumni association. Clara and Lena are 2 years younger than us and are our juniors. After all, it is not suitable to get together. A male classmate toasted me with a look of envy and admiration. In our class, the one I admire most is Ethan. He married Clara when the G family went bankrupt and left her when she became the richest woman. Who can compare to his courage? Everyone laughed and clapped. That's very well said, very free and easy. Ethan is really unique. Mandy also raised her glass to me, but I was not interested and did not comment on what he said. Mark saw my gloomy face and stood up to smooth things over. Old classmates, this is a class reunion, not a criticism meeting of Ethan's life. Come on, tell us one by one how you have been living in the past 10 years. Leo also stood up and shouted. Of course, we can't let Ethan take the spotlight alone. Only then did the rhythm of the entire class reunion get back on track. The atmosphere was lively, and I drank so much that my face turned red. When it was almost over, the waiter knocked on the door and brought someone in. Mark, you're not nice enough. You didn't invite me to Jiangchen? I have to be the host. Clara walked in with a beaming face. Mark glanced at me with an innocent look in his eyes. Clara, you are so busy. I am just worried that you don't have time. The classmates all laughed foolishly. Clara sat down calmly and said self-deprecatingly, I have no choice but to make time even if I don't have time. Otherwise, my husband will really not want me anymore. Everyone looked at me, and I was speechless. From what she said, she still wants to continue to pester me. But the divorce agreement has been signed. She can't just deny it. Mark also noticed my embarrassment and changed the subject to ask me, Ethan, you are so rich now. What kind of girlfriend are you going to find in the future? I stroked my chin and thought for a while. Well, the most likely possibility is to find a sexy queen. Clara's face suddenly darkened. In the evening, I was in Lena's counseling room, and she also asked this question. Ethan, you still have a long future ahead of you. Have you ever imagined what your future significant other will be like? I tilted my head and thought about it. Probably like a young Clara. Lena touched her nose and smiled bitterly. You really know how to discourage me. I patted her hands and said, Lena, this is from my heart, you know. In my life, Ethan, it took all my courage to fall in love with Clara. As my psychologist for 5 years, Lena understands this better than anyone else. Although doctors and patients cannot be together when it comes to mental illness, I want to eradicate all her right ideas. She sighed and stood up. Let's go. I'll take you back. When we reached the parking lot on the first floor, I paused. Lena, you should keep going. I'm not someone she can wait for. I told her this when I rejected her confession of love 10 years ago. Lena lowered her hands and looked at me deeply in the night. I looked at her too. until a beam of car lights suddenly hit us. With a bang, Clara closed the door and strode towards us. Ethan, you found a new love so soon. Her voice seemed frosted in the night. Clara gritted her teeth and pulled me behind her. Then she slapped Lena in the face. Lena groaned and staggered. I hurried forward and grabbed Clara, shouting, Clara, what are you doing? How dare you hit someone? I deeply regret what I did just now. I really didn't expect Clara to do that. Clara's chest heaved, and she pulled me to glare at Lena coldly. She deserves to be beaten. You. I clenched my fists in anger and didn't know how to explain it for a moment. But Clara said again, Lena, is it fun to play tricks on me? Huh. Lena covered her face and snorted with laughter, her shoulders twitching. I did try to tease you, but I also warned you not to use this trick lightly. Not everyone can survive a life-threatening situation. I slowly calmed down and my eyes wandered between the two confronting women. When did Clara get in touch with Lena? What did Lena trick Clara into doing? Clara pulled me to the riverside. She touched her hair that was messed up by the wind, looked at me tenderly, and spoke in a gentle tone. Lena told me that you have a serious psychological disorder. She said that only if you reconcile with your original family will she completely trust me and our marriage. It just so happened that Ryan wanted to invite me to his show, so I thought about trying to get in touch with him. It just so happened that Tina wanted to pursue him at the time, and I was also worried that she was just playing with your brother, so I pretended to have an ambiguous relationship with him. But now I know that it was Lena who lied to me. You will never forgive them. What I did is just pushing you further away. It turns out that this is the whole story of Ryan. Clara had also long known about the problems in our marriage. Ethan, they are not important. I just want to live well with you. Do you understand? Seeing Clara's regretful look, I felt like laughing. Lena has a good mouth, and this is indeed what she can say. Look, the shrewd Clara was also successfully brainwashed by her. But what does it matter if you know the truth? I still don't regret the divorce. I said coldly. Clara, thank you for telling me this. But in the future, we will not be on the same path. Clara's face was filled with shock and even anger. She grabbed my arm hard. Ethan, did I not explain it clearly enough? Should I call Ryan to confront him? Her voice choked for a moment. You still think I'm too rich, right? I'm going to file for bankruptcy. Stop it, I shouted. I can't afford to gamble. Clara, it's not that I don't trust you. It's that I don't trust human nature. Do you understand? Clara's future road is paved with money, but there are many bloody lessons and examples ahead. Between the gambling king and Li Ka-shing's original wife, who had a happy ending, even his own children suffered a miserable end. On the contrary, the second, third, and fourth wives, who came later, lived a prosperous life. But there was no need for me to argue this with Clara. In her opinion, those were all groundless. But I also stick to the motto of being alone, free, and self-protective. I took a deep breath and said to Clara, I am really happy now. Please let me go. Clara looked at me incredulously, her body trembling slightly. Ethan, is it so painful for you to get back together with me? I looked at her frankly. In the past 5 years, I have not been happy for a single day. Clara was speechless. In the end, we parted on bad terms. I saw the disappointment on Clara's face. She must have thought that everything would be fine as long as she explained it clearly. But I don't want to put myself in a difficult position in marriage anymore. I thought I made myself clear. But I overlooked that Clara was never someone who gave up so easily. Seeing that there was no progress on my end, she started to target my mother. My mother first came to my apartment frequently to cook for me and acted as Clara's lobbyist. Are you afraid that I will find a sexy lady when I have free time? Finally, I couldn't help it and asked with a headache, Mom, have you been too active recently? She widened her eyes and said, Clara, do you think I have become younger recently? Clara bought me a beauty and gym membership and also signed me up for many interest classes. It's so interesting. So, this means that your horizons have broadened and your heart has become more open? She used to be more worried and anxious than I was, and she kept talking about having a child to strengthen her marriage. So positive now. Clara's methods are indeed extraordinary. I got up and went out, made an appointment with Leo to have dinner and get away for some time. After listening to my crying, Leo said bluntly, Miss Clara wants your mother to encourage you to be more positive. She has good intentions. Ethan, are you really not moved? His eyes gleamed with gossip. I shook my head without hesitation and said bluntly, absolutely not. I'm just very distressed. No matter how the marriage ends, it seems that it can never be perfect. Otherwise, the two of them will tear each other apart and never talk to each other again. Or you can stop the loss in love and time like Clara and I. But there will always be one party that won't accept it. So I thought about it and called Clara. Try to convince her with her way of thinking. Clara, if you think of our remarriage as a big investment, I want to tell you that your risk assessment has not passed. I don't want to take the risk. Clara probably didn't expect me to say that, and she was silent for a while. Ethan, is that how you have to define our relationship? Can't you just trust me for once? Clara, just because I don't think this project is a success doesn't mean it won't be successful, but I am willing to pay for my decision now. I said calmly, Clara and I can never go back to the way we were. After I actually took the step of divorce, I realized this more deeply than anyone else. Clara sneered. Ethan, I can feel how hard you've tried to convince me to let go. I have nothing to say about this. When I finally hung up the phone, I said, Divorce, you have given me the greatest tolerance and respect. Now I will not stop you from doing anything. But Clara, I hope you can let it go sooner. My mother leaned against the door, feeling sad and helpless. Ethan, you are so rational and heartless. You don't give her any hope at all. I said calmly. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. If I hadn't realized sooner, I would have been unable to bear the burden of marriage. Clara was on Ryan's show again. Unlike the last time when she was dressed like an elite, she looked much thinner and was wearing a sexy slim long skirt. Mark called me and teased me. Ethan, Clara has a nice figure. She used to wear suits, but I didn't notice. She's not really afraid of you looking at her. Sexy queen. I have no comment. It's no longer news in Jiangcheng that Clara is pursuing her ex-husband. Now it depends on who of us will be defeated first. Actually, to be precise, it was Clara who insisted on fighting with me. Ryan's interview was not as relaxed as last time, but rather a bit stiff. Miss Clara's recent dressing style is very feminine. Clara said coldly and self-deprecatingly, No, I just wore it to show someone that I actually have a pretty good figure. Ryan visibly forced a smile and asked tentatively, Then congratulations to Ms. Clara on your new relationship. I'll lend you my good words. Clara said lightly. This frugal and indifferent attitude almost made Ryan unable to save the situation several times. My mother put on her reading glasses and looked at it carefully. Finally, she asked me, Isn't Clara deliberately using this show to help you vent your anger? I rolled my eyes and said, Mom, you need to take care of yourself, so go get your beauty sleep. Mom stood up and stretched. Oh, I am old. I don't understand what you young people are doing. Before entering the door, I walked forward and looked at my mother seriously. Thank you, Mom. I am really happy to see you like this now. I say this from the bottom of my heart. Mom patted my shoulder and said, Oh Yang, it's time for me to live for myself. I'll let you meet an uncle someday. I was instantly surprised. Really? My mother was a little shy. We've known each other for a while. We met at the gym. I didn't dare to tell you. How could that be? I would love to. I'm really happy for her. Before going to bed, she couldn't help herself. Oh Yang, Mom has started over. Don't be afraid of the future. Can you give Clara a chance? I took a deep breath and said helplessly, Mom, you really don't have to feel guilty. If what happened in my childhood really had an impact on me, I can assure you that it has now become a positive influence and no longer a negative pressure on me. Believe me, I can live well on my own. I am really, really happy now. I was so happy that I didn't want to have a second choice. The hot topic of Jiangcheng's richest woman Clara's sky-high divorce settlement has not yet passed. The news of her high-profile confession of love to her ex-husband made headlines again. Even Mark made fun of us on his talk show. Oh my God, is Ethan the only man in Jiangcheng? It's both laughable and ridiculous. When I came out of the studio after the show that day, Eric was waiting for me in the parking lot. I rolled down the window, and he respectfully handed me a document. Ethan, this is the company's new supplier list bidding meeting. Miss Clara hopes you will come to host it. I took it and flipped through it, and not surprisingly saw the words Xinghe Food on the list. My dad, Ryan, ran a small food business for decades. He once enjoyed great glory and abandoned his wife and children. Haha, one day, you will have to beg for food from me. I have to say, I have mixed feelings. Eric added, Mr. Ouyang, please don't worry. Manager May from the purchasing department will fully assist you in this conference. I nodded and accepted Clara's kindness. As long as she doesn't mention remarriage. I also do what I say and never stop her from doing anything. Besides, I really want to meet the Shin family. I threw the folder into the passenger seat and looked at Eric. Eric has been looking very radiant lately, but is something good about to happen? Eric looked at me shyly, then shyly took out an invitation from his bag. I'm getting married next month. Please come and see me, Ethan. I stared at him for a long while. Eric's nose was sweating slightly under my gaze, and he didn't even raise his head. Ethan, please forgive me for my inconsiderateness in the past, he whispered. I snorted and laughed, without commenting. I am not a saint. Eric did make me unhappy in the past, but there is no need for me to put myself in a difficult position. But this invitation is probably Eric's real purpose. If I were invited to attend a company meeting, why would I need the president's secretary to wait for me in the parking lot? Clara seemed to become smart all of a sudden and put away the people and things that had made me unhappy before. Give me an explanation for everything. It's not that I'm not touched, but that's all. As the company's two major shareholders, it is a blessing for the company that we can eliminate the differences. At the supplier directory conference, I sat firmly in the chairman's seat. Even if it wasn't because of Clara. I own half of the company's shares, so I have the full right to do so. The Shin family of 3 were all present. Just as Gloria said on the phone that day, without Clara, Galaxy Foods would have gone bankrupt long ago. As soon as the conference was over, the Shin family invited me to dinner. As soon as I sat down, Clara came over and sat next to me. In a low voice, he asked, Oh Yang, did the meeting go well? I I was too busy today to attend. She completely ignored the embarrassed looks on the faces of the 3 Shin family members who stood up and wanted to greet her. I suppressed my smile. It's okay, I had a lot of fun. Ryan clenched his fist and coughed, then sat down uncomfortably. Gloria Ryan's face was twisted with anger. Oh Yang, Miss Clara, you two are divorced, but your relationship is still so good. Gloria couldn't hold her temper anymore and adopted the tone of an elder. I'm too lazy to reply. Clara glanced at her and said, Thank you for your concern. We are just having fun. I sneered. We are the original couple, so we can divorce with dignity, unlike some people who have a mistress, who are still a couple of resentment even after marriage. Even the children born know how to follow their parents' example. Gloria was so angry at us that her facial features were distorted and her lips were trembling. She stood up and pointed at us. Clara, Ethan, you. Clara's face turned cold. Ryan quickly stood up and picked up a glass of wine. Sister-in-law, thank you for your support of my company over the past year. We will also release more new products in the future. Clara propped her chin up and said nonchalantly, Mumo's product selection has always adhered to the principle of fairness and justice. Mr. Shun is very confident in his products, which is good. Xinghe Food is on the verge of bankruptcy, so how can we have any confidence? Otherwise, Ryan wouldn't give up his job as a rich young man and travel thousands of miles to Jiangxing to be a program host for a local TV station. Ryan's face turned pale and blue, and he looked at me helplessly. Brother, you also have a share in the company, you. Ryan immediately agreed. Oh Yang, your brother is right. When you are free, come to the company to complete the transfer procedures. I smiled faintly. Mr. Harris, no need. You should leave the calculation to your son. Ryan River was so angry with me that he started coughing violently. Gloria's eyes widened and she screamed, Ethan, I won't say anything if the old man says the company will give you half, but you still take advantage of it. What have you done for the company? I said coldly. So, you let Ryan hook up with Clara to protect the company and to become Ms. Clara's husband, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Ryan hurriedly explained. Brother, you misunderstood. Why are you apologizing? He clearly set you up with Clara, waiting for you to be hooked and then dump you aside. Gloria has been the same as she has been for decades, being unreasonable and making trouble regardless of whether she is right or not. This hat fits really well. If an outsider who doesn't know the truth, they would really think that Clara was the one who abandoned her, and we teamed up to frame a little boy like Ryan. Before I could say anything, Clara slammed the table and stood up. Gloria, be careful. Are you going to force me to take Ryan's text message asking for help to the TV station so that everyone can argue the truth? Clara threw her phone away, no longer giving Ryan any face. You were entangled by Gu Ning, but you were afraid of offending her. When we played Mahjong that day, you asked me to cooperate and act in front of Tina. Mr. Shun, have all these memories been eaten by dogs? I looked at Ryan thoughtfully. It's really not easy. Every step has to be carefully planned. In fact, I haven't asked about the origin of that Mahjong video to this day. It turns out that Ryan also directed and acted in the film himself. I sneered a few times. You're not afraid of offending Tina, but you're using this as an excuse to have an affair with Clara and want us to get divorced, Ryan. Ryan's face turned red with anger and he was at a loss, but he still looked at Clara with a glimmer of hope. It can be seen how unwilling he is to fail. Clara said to me, Oh Yang, I was so confused at that time. In fact, if he just said he was your brother, Tina would not dare to do anything to him even if she had 800 courage. Gloria was speechless and her face was completely tarnished. Ryan was even more humiliated. His face turned red, and he pointed at Gloria and her daughter and yelled, You bitch, not only can you not behave yourself, but you also teach your son bad things. You go ahead. Before he could finish his words, his eyes rolled back and he fell backwards. Gloria and the other person rushed forward to hold him up. The scene suddenly became chaotic. I kindly called 120 and walked out with Clara. Not driving, just wandering along the road. After walking for a long time, I finally calmed down and asked Clara, Why? You don't want me to reconcile with my family of origin? Clara looked at me helplessly and said lovingly, No, I have seen clearly that none of this family is good. They don't deserve it. Oh Yang, I'm sorry. Clara and I still have no intention of remarrying. I just live a free and easy life. Clara also became more and more at ease. Some people laugh at Clara for not being able to have a happy ending with me after so long. Be careful that you might end up working for me for the rest of your life. She replied, I enjoy it.